Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Faryal Razzaq from the FEEEL Private Limited, and today we're very lucky that we have with us Reverend Lynn Chittick. And I'm so sorry if I pronounce it wrong because um, she wears many hats. Out of these hats, she's the CEO and founder of The Torch. She's a well-known author, a thought leader, and a healer. She is a co-founder of Ecoinspired Living and also a Mer.com, which is a renewable dream team. So we're going to ask her about uh, her journey, and she has double masters. And in theology, she's doing theology and a lot of things. And she has been studying and working on peace all along. So we need a lot of discussion around building peaceful and harmonious world. So welcome to the show, Lynn, and I'm so very pleased. We are very proud to have you here. So without much ado, I would like you to first tell us your journey, your how did get where you are, and how did you achieve so many things in life. Please share with my viewers your journey, what the Torch does, and what the company is about.
Great, fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Razzaq. Dr. Razzaq and I just got to know each other 2 minutes ago, and I'm just so excited because of her organization, FEEL. I'm a very feeling person, and my heart is very open to all. As I've walked my journey, my biggest path has been my mothering path, I'll be honest. And my mothering path of 5 children. My last one is leaving the home in 2 days, to go to college. And so as I move in this new direction, 39 years of that is an amazing gift. So as an entrepreneur, for many years, I started my first organization by taking women into my home that needed a place. And I have to be honest, I've raised my kids with environmental awareness, with non-chemical. And that came out of, the first relationship of my son having allergies. I asked why. And that was 39 years ago. Why does a child wake up and scream at night? And he had allergies. And so I looked at organic foods at that point. I changed my family to all organic food. I went into an organic diet and really looked at that as a mom, because no mother would want their child to be screaming all night, right?
Definitely.
That's just right up your alley with FEEL, right? So this is an emotional intelligence, feels like it came from God, and I really believe that. And my second daughter was born in a hospital setting where the doctor was just not very healthy. And so I really questioned healthcare. What was going on with healthcare? Antibiotics wasn't working. So I gave her no antibiotics. I gave her no relationship. And I just started learning more about food and health. But I realized that Ajax was a cleaning substance, and it made me very sick when I scrubbed my tubs. So chemicals was a very big part of my mothering to begin with. And so my first green home, if you know what a green home is, some of you may not, but a green home is without chemicals, using non-chemical products, using non-chemical hair, shampoo, dishwashing soap. My home was green by 1984. So I've been
doing
this a long time. And
you're ahead of your time.
Yeah, and I got to meet a very special person out of my own self healing. I had a breast tumor at 26, and really went on to heal. I'm 61 today, not today, but this year. And at 26 years old with 2 kids at that point, being diagnosed was scary, And I said, why?
I can imagine.
I said, why? And then my husband had allergies. Why? So if you ask the question why, and really go to the depth of why, I think that's who I became. Why, why I became me. Why I studied what I studied. So I started really learning the most when I met a young couple that ran a health food store, and I asked them about one of my conditions, and they said, come to a cooking class. So I went to my first organic cooking class when I was 27. And from that, it jumped into a huge life of working with macrobiotics. Macrobiotics means large life. And the
Really?
man founded the first health food store in America. His name is Michio Kushi, and his wife Aveline Kushi came from Japan. And he was at Columbia University as a political major and political science major. And from then on, he went very, very clear into helping many, many people go back to a natural way of life, because he saw so much disease and so much sickness. And so he wrote a book called One Peaceful World. And it had already been that. I had been doing rituals with many family members. I really believed that family needed to be together. And that included our community and our neighbors. It wasn't just us. And so out of that comes this amazing life of 30 years teaching people natural food cooking and teaching women. And my home was filled with cancer patients. I had cancer patients come for 5 years. I took in homeless moms for 20 years. So I really nurtured my children with a number of people in their lives. And I believe that's also, it takes a village to raise a child, right? So I think it's, my degree work didn't start till much later. I was 38 by the time I started school. So as I started college at 38 years old, I just finished my second master's at 61. So you can imagine that many years of being an entrepreneur, having an organic food business, wholesale business, moving into becoming a registered nurse, because ideally I wanted to be a doctor, a medical doctor, because I was working with serious cancer patients. I was flying back and forth to Fermilab, which that's where the atomic bomb was built by Einstein. I studied a lot of Einstein during those years. I studied a lot of ideas, and Michio had also studied many ideas, Michio Kushi. And so he brought forth this huge theological quest for me in the way of, why is our world very unhappy? And it comes back to ourselves. Why are we independently very unhappy people? Why do we have so many family breakdowns? Why do we have so many family issues? Why are we not holding this beautiful earth in our hands? Why are we not, the why kept coming, right? And I really started, all of my work was asking. And in nursing school, I can't say they were happy about me asking why,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were like, you just have to study here. And I'm like, well, we actually have to ask why. Why are electrons being sparked in the body? Why do we have, electrodes, sparking in our body? And if they're not sparking and there's health issues, why? So the why was very clear about why we as a human species has gone so backwards on a food chain, so backwards in the healthcare system, so backwards in our taking care of the earth.
Absolutely.
And our water is polluted, our earth is polluted, our family's polluted. It's a big mess. We have a big mess. And so I really looked at it from a very deep, my bachelor's is in cultural studies, and I really love culture. My house was filled with culture, and my kids lived with, all different religions, all different people, from Jewish
Amazing.
to, Native American to Japanese to, Buddhist to, all of Hindu. Many people came to my house for dinners. I had 40 people once a week at my house every week, and people would come and share and lectures and, really start looking at this in my early mothering, and came into really saying to myself after, I was consulting by the age of 35. I was given a spiritual center by the age of 38 to run in a Buddhist center. But I studied these spiritual paths to figure out this world peace section. Why are we not having peace? Why is academia not pointing people towards peace? I would take students out to the farms, and say, this is where your food comes from. I want you to have a healthy family. I don't want you to have a child with diabetes. I don't want you to have diabetes. I don't want you to have heart disease. Let's go to the farm. I'll show you how to do this. And so that's what I did. And, I've made money. I've lost money as an entrepreneur. And the culmination came out of my master's degree as a multicultural pastoral degree. It was a theological degree at UC Berkeley. UC Berkeley is affiliated with the GTU, the Graduate Theological Union, which is a consortium of 11 different theological schools. So you've got Buddhist schools, Jewish schools, Hindu schools, Native, all different schools of thought from a theological perspective. And I was so excited to have that playground because it gave me so much. And that's where I met Islam. That's where I met, the gift of the first college for Islam in America, Zaytuna. The man that lectured, I got to go to the anniversary, 10-year anniversary. Anniversary, and I didn't even know it was him 10 years ago. I was studying one of his lectures, I was with his lecture studying the Quran, thinking about food, and why isn't this being taught in our schools? Why isn't this being taught in our academic settings? How are we not standing for the humanity within our own self? Is it just about the mighty dollar? And I think I came out of there and I was so baffled. I was so baffled because, of course, in the Catholic tradition, the men got supported, but the women didn't, right? And so I didn't get support in that, in that academic setting. And so I just pondered. I said, wow, this is so powerful. And so for 5 years, I went back to nursing and pondered again. And I decided I was going to go back and study more theology because I love the field. Because theology is the study of God, but really it's a deeper study about humanity. And the one peaceful world thought is such a powerful relationship to my healthcare versus, how we stand together as a humanity. And so my second master's I just finished, a 3-year degree. It took me 3.5 because my daughter's dad died during that time. So I took a semester off, and I've been to Pakistan twice. And so the business started in 2012 called Humanitera, and I recoined it in 2015. I had a dream. Michio Kushi actually died, and a month later, this dream came about the torch. Name the company the Torch. And he was the one that said, I have to go spark Europe. I have to go spark Portugal. I have to go spark. And he was one to spark people to eat back to nature so you could come back to yourself, really. Come back to the earth, come back to the practical. And why were emotions there? Why were the health issues there that we're facing? Why? The why has always been there. It hasn't stopped. So I've probably spoken enough, but that's my academia, and that's kind of my passion to help. And Torch means the Organization for Realizing Change in Humanity. And out of that work, there were 4 pillars: peace, health, environment, and technology. And the dream is that you would pick one of those. So if you were going to pick, Doctor, which one would you really be passionate about? Peace, health, environment, or technology? Which one?
Peace.
Okay, good. Okay, so if you're going to pick peace, what I would ask you to do is pick 3 other academic people, a healthcare person, an environment person, and a tech person. So you make a 4-person team in your local area. And then you look at those local areas in those 4 regions. How is the peace in your region? How is the environment in your region? How is the technology affecting people in your region, or good or bad? And how is it that your relationship to the environment and healthcare making a difference? And I start with people, just helping people look within themselves. How are those 4 pillars? I call them the 4 pillars because they're really important for each of us. That we have our own inner peace, that we have our own, relationship to our environment. If our environment's chaotic, which mine is all packed up, my last child's leaving, and I have a little bit of grief today. It's 39 years.
Oh, it's so tough, I guess. And, I know.
It's just a big day. And a big week for me, and this grace that continues to shine. You asking me to come here, it's a perfect day for me to tell you who, the entrepreneur, the academic in me, the theological. I've applied for my doctorate of ministry. It's not a 4-year degree. It takes about 3 years, but I'm pretty positive I'm going to go in that direction. I don't know. I very much want to come back to Pakistan. I've been twice. I lectured all over the country. So
We
I've
love
probably
that.
spoken enough. So go ahead and please. Thank you so much for letting
Okay.
me share so much.
It's so interesting, and I could hear, we will ask you to join in again sometime. But let's come to the topic. You said that the topic that you would like to talk is living your wildest dreams. I mean, the topic, I mean, I love the topic, and everybody is struggling. They have big dreams and yet not no motivation. And please, let's shed some light on that. How would you tell the viewers, and especially the young generation, because there's so much potential in everybody, and they have to realize, like, you are still realizing your dreams
Mm-hmm.
at this age. You're still realizing your dreams, so they have all the life ahead of them. So let's talk about the topic, living the wildest dreams.
It's so beautiful. Thank you. When I pick the topic, one of the areas, the first thing I ask someone, what's your passion? What is your passion? So I'm going to ask you, what is your passion?
Okay.
Obviously, I think it's cool, but go ahead.
my passion is that all our emotional issues that we face is because of the hurt and imbalances we have suffered in our childhood, because our parents were not emotionally intelligent, our teachers were not emotionally intelligent, and we were not a very kind society. We were not raised like that. So my passion is to let everybody realize that we have to be kind and empathetic. We are there to coexist, so we have to do it with utmost care and love. That's what I want to, I wish I could, have a magic group, bond and just change the hearts of the people. I mean, the world is very mean these days. That's my passion.
Mama, I love it. Now, are you a mother?
You.
Are you a mother?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I have 2 children.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. And are they grown?
Yes, and they're almost adult. One of my daughter is in medical school, and one of my son is going to the medical school, inshallah, next year.
Beautiful. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
I have
Thank
6
you.
grandchildren myself. I have 5 children
Wow.
and 6 grandchildren. And when I look at the passion between you and what your passion is, that's what, living your wildest dream is what you've accomplished. You are living your dream. And I think when we're looking at our personal dream, you have to go deep. And I'm sure those difficulties, I was just sharing what Aveline Kushi had said. Today's the day in this Mayan tradition. I have some indigenous First Nation people. My great grandmother was First Nation in America. And so the indigenous part was hidden from me because we were white American people. But my indigenous culture my mother didn't tell me till I was 38. And I was like, what?
Really?
It was the grandmother she couldn't talk about, And so it was very shocking to me to see that indigenous part hidden. And my mother really went through her own addictions, and my father as well. And so the study of that internal struggle was the grace that's been given to me over, because I said, why does my mom struggle with addiction? They were very effective in their lives. My dad made a lot of money. He was an entrepreneur, but they both struggled with addiction of alcohol. And I had to look at that as a mom. I became a mom at 22, and I didn't want to raise my kids in that. So I moved away from the family structure, right? I still very love my parents. They're amazingly beautiful people. And there's nothing against them that I hold to this day. And I never did. But the heart of what their struggle was something beyond what I could comprehend at that age. And, I look at our struggles as our gifts. The bigger the front, the bigger the back. The more we're out in the front area of ourselves, the more the backside has gotten us there. So there's this light and dark within each of us. I call it's really the study with Michio. It's the unifying principle where night turns into day, day turns into night. And it's in that liminal space of light and dark, that morning light or the night light, that beautiful section between birth and death. In the birth of a woman, a birth of a child, it's that preciousness. And at night, it's that preciousness. So if we if we can't hold that container of that preciousness throughout our lives, why? You know, why can't we hold that container spiritually? Why can't we hold the heart spiritually to really carry that liminal space always in our hearts? And so when you live your wildest dream, you get in touch with that. You get in touch. It's really, it kind of comes out of my torch member. We have 42 members right now. They're not all active. It's pretty interesting. We've let it grow organically. It's not like it's an organization where we're all cohesive, because I'm not running it like a business. I'm running it as a shared leadership platform. So the torch is about building a shared leadership. So, you know, I offer you that as a amazing academic, and you got through a doctorate as a woman, and I can only imagine how hard that was in whatever form. You know, the women climbing up the ladder in a normal society is not as supported as most men. And so
I can imagine.
Yeah, the feminine, it's very hard for the feminine to be able to do that with a family, with your kids. Maybe you became did you become a doctor before your kids were born?
I had a very, you know, unique story as well, because I studied after 17 years, resumed my studies after 17 years. So when my kids were a little bit, you know, older, then I resumed my studies, then did my MBA, MS, and then went all the way to the PhD. Even my mother was like, why are you doing that? I mean, like, my mother and my family would not, what's wrong with you? Why are you studying so hard? And so it's not normal in my part of the world, you know, women, a housewife resuming studies and going to, you know, entering the workforce in her 40s. I mean, this is not the norm in my part of the world.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you lived your dream. You lived your dream.
Yeah, I was passionate about it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that comes from the uniqueness of listening. You have to listen for your own personal dream. So your personal dream, I'm writing a book called Architecture of Your Soul, and I want to write an academic book, you know, and I haven't done that yet. I've written a book called Remembrance to Remember, which means to remember who you are. Why did you come to this beautiful earth? Why did you come? You know, there's a dream in you. And I believe every person has that. And so the spark of the torch is about lighting each other's spark. And, you know, the Olympic Games hold that torch up, and they hold that torch high, right? And so we pass the torch to each person to say, we're going to hold you to that Olympic. You know, it's like an Olympic game to get to your wildest dream. It's an Olympic. You have to really physically, spiritually, emotionally, you know, really go deep to be able to find that personal dream. Because academia can carry you to another part of yourself too. You know, and it might be your path. Like RN, I'm a good nurse. I'm not a bad nurse. But it's not completely my 100% path. It's, you know, I wanted to be a doctor, but I couldn't accomplish it due to a divorce and going through my own hardships, right? So it led me to theology, which is so funny. And the story kind of went like this. I was dreaming, what do I really want to do? And it was about a master's in theology. And it was so funny. 6 years later, I found myself in that same school that I was getting the catalog, and I didn't even know it was the same school. And I hadn't even finished a bachelor's at that point.
So don't you think there's something divine power working? I mean, that's you know, something that has been there for you, your destiny that was predetermined, and you had to find that path. I mean, that's 100%. So, you know. It's so beautiful to
Allah all the time, and I love. I just started talking. Please finish your words. I apologize. I got excited.
It's okay.
But I think your passion is led from God, 100%. It's all divine ordered.
Divine. So anybody who's struggling right now, I mean, who is lack the motivation, and you know, the COVID has given us a whole host of emotional issues as well, because this is the first time the whole of the world was in a pandemic. I mean, it wasn't just, you know, it's not something that our or the next generation before us heard of. So and they say that the emotional issue is going to be the next wave of pandemic. Already 1/4 of the world, 1 in 4% in the world were depressed, and after that this emotional issues, that mental traumas are going to accelerate. So a lot of people are struggling because after this pandemic, the businesses are worst hit, the jobs are lost, the livelihood of the people is at stake. So how do you tell them to motivate themselves and to still find the light, the peace, the hope? So
there's a few things. All I can tell you really is what I've done, and how I think you can share what you've done. And I think what we do is storytelling. I believe we have to tell our stories. I believe we have to bring our stories to the women, to the men. I came up with a new story this week. I was like, boy, how many women have gone through, the empty nest and the last child leaving the house? I mean, that's a lot of women. And that grief and that it's really real for me. It's like, wow, this is huge. And, at the same time, if I look at my kids, I homeschooled, for one thing. I homeschooled my my first child till high school, and both my first 2 children. And then it went down the way. And then my last child wasn't homeschooled. She was put in school because I was in school. I see a huge difference because my son, as an engineer, my first son, he wanted to build a tree house. And so we did all academics around his tree house, right? His passion was to build. He became an engineer. He loves what he does. He loves what he does. And so then you've got this whole process of how do you instill the child? And I believe if you're a grown person, you have to go back to that inner child. Where was it when you were riding that bike and the wind was through your hair and you were so excited because you could just be free, Where was that point? And find those points in you that really spark that, exuberance, spark that enlightened part of yourself. Because right now with COVID and all of, it's almost like the world is here, but you're here. Your heart is right here. And if you can find that deep, deep passion, it's an ecstasy. It's almost like Tony Robbins said a really interesting thing. He said, most people go from depression to anger, and it's like a loop. And he said, it's like a figure 8 loop. They go from passion, and they can do it in an instant, because they get depressed, and then somebody doesn't do something right. They turn into rage, and then they go back, and it's a loop. Okay. And he said, all you got to do is change the loop to ecstasy. Like and this woman that he was coaching was talking about sexuality. And it was this really funny clip that he gave. And it's just really funny because he brought her right to the place of climax in sexuality. And it was so funny because she could jump out of the anger or the depression just like that because she was in joy. And it wasn't about all the men that she had trouble with. It was about the change in the brain to be able to change
mindset.
Yeah, one little change. So every time you're depressed, you jump into the ecstasy, And I think that's what we have to do. And we have to share the goodness. Most people like to share their pain and not their goodness. And we perpetuate this, and we teach the children how to do that in our own homes. Yes. And the children are hearing ears of, those people hurt us, that neighbor was not good, It's constant ridiculousness instead of saying, wow, that neighbor's struggling. How can we help? How can we support that neighbor? Let's do something special, And I think those are the pieces that you have to instill as a parent. And we don't do that. We only want to tell the bad stories to our neighbor, Let's have tea, but the neighbor tea is about the drama instead of, boy, how can we get together and work on peace? How can we get together and work on environment?
Actually connecting at an emotional level. Connecting at emotional level.
That's it.
Rather than superficial. Yeah.
Yeah. It's that deep place that, you know, how's your environment today? Is your environment, mine is a mess because there's boxes everywhere. It's a little disturbing. It's like, wow, tomorrow it's going to be empty. You know, we're packing up the truck tomorrow and my room is going to be empty. And I'm like, I'm going to stay in the emptiness for a few days, you know, spiritually.
But isn't it strange when you are young and you're energetic and your kids are, so dependent on you, but you don't have time because you're struggling at the same time. And when you're old and when you're getting, when you actually need your children, then they have to go out of the nest and, build their own careers. I mean, this life cycle of parents and children, it's very, unique in a way that whenever one needs the other is top priority is work or going out. So it's a very difficult cycle actually.
I think what I would say to that to any mom with young children, I just called a mom here actually at the facility. We live in the student housing, and there, the Black Lives Matter is very big right now, and she's African American, and she's a really special person, and her son is really wild. And I said to her, he's a beautiful boy. He's very awake, but he's 6 and he's just coming into that hormonal place. I said, let's get the village together. Can we get the village together to direct the kids into a new direction? Because they were getting into mischief, right? So all the children, the parents are struggling, so the children are struggling, right? So I sparked her, and now she's got the whole community meeting now. If you just help one person, if you help one little struggling child to say he's hurting, somewhere he's hurting, he's cussing, he's swearing, he's talking about sex, like all the stuff is happening. And she's like, I don't even know where it's coming from. And I said, it's okay. He's innocent. The children are very, very innocent. But the community of mothering is so exhausting, right? So if you create a system around you and create a community around you, that's what the 4 pillars was about. Don't do it alone. We cannot do it alone. But we stay behind our hidden doors and we don't want to tell them the drama. We don't want to tell them the issues. We want to look all good on the outside. It's not real. And we've got to lay down that sword. We got to lay down our sword and say, I'm a mess today. I don't feel good today. My heart is a little achy today. And, today's the day of the ancestors in the Mayan tradition. And every morning there's a fire and you can join us.
I would love to.
Yeah, it's on an organization called Good of the Whole. And we're working from heart resonance. How do we keep the heart resonance with each other? How do we keep the really deeper heart resonance? So that we're raising each other up instead of bringing each other down. And one of the Mayan teachers, I call him a teacher. He's wonderful. He's younger than me, but he's a really wise man. Brings in this old ancient calendar before the Gregorian calendar, right? The Greco calendar came in. The Mayan calendar was there. It was more cosmic. It was a much different calendar. And so today is the day of the monkey. So it's kind of a funny day, kind of like monkeys. And it's the day of the bat. And they say that it's the day to recognize your ancestry, where your path came from, and to know where your path came from to bring you here. And I'm so
glad that this day I had to get to talk to you, and my zeal and zest is renewed actually about my passion, and it's so good that amazing.
Good, because tomorrow is like a brand new day in the calendar, and it's like the ancestry of what brought me here was a lot of hidden craziness, but it grew me as a human being. And so instead of looking at it that it hurt me and it wounded me and my children probably got wounded from me and blah, 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 right? I'm here. I'm teaching. I just got through a degree. I'm loving myself. I'm scared. I've got fear. I've got all that going on in one little body. And every body has these same things. And so if we don't get real with each other and share these stories, there's no way we can really heal. But I don't think they have to be bad stories. I think Aveline Kushi said all these women would come to her and said, my father raped me, my brother hurt me, my, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't blah, blah, blah to the person because it's a trauma, right? We've come from trauma. And the trauma is real. I studied a lot about trauma in my theological work. And as a minister to be, I feel like I'm a minister now, that feeling of care for people, the caring professions, the nursing profession, the ministry profession, the healing profession, the academia, they're burnouts. But it doesn't have to be.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be. It really doesn't. I think you have to bring that encompassing, surrounding container of love. Because if you can come from the heart, then that love can heal everything. And so Aveline would ask all these women, why do you think you got here? The women that would say, I got raped, my father beat me up, da, da, da. She said, why do you think you got here today? Here they are in a room of this beautiful woman. They've got organic food. They've got beautiful place to sleep. Why do you think you got here? And letting them look at that gratitude of life, So I don't think we don't see our difficulties as our grace. It really is grace. There's some sort of grace that happens, and as hard as it is to live in this society and the society that we're all in, I'm really excited about the torch, and I'm really excited about good of the whole, and I'm really excited about what you're doing. And people are doing goodness out of COVID, right? The most devastating thing we could have ever imagined, right?
Yes.
And here it is, and we're all lifting up, right? Society is lifting up, And,
we're all the cogs. We're all, a chain reaction. You support us and we support you. And this is how the good work, we support each other, in their endeavors for whatever peace, good and love. So I'm always there. We're always there. And you will find a lot of people, resonating with your cause and my cause. And, we can be unique and we can do work together as well.
Oh, I would love to. I started this organization called C2C Earth. And I really want to coin it. It's collaboration to collaboration. Instead of B2B, business to business, collaboration to collaboration, C to C.
Wow.
SEA to SEA, C to C, C to C, shining C, right? I can come to Pakistan. You can come to America. We can share the love. We can share the relationship. We can share. We don't have to be competitive in this. The patriarchal world is one area of life. And it's a very short-lived life. The ancient cultures lived in different ways. It's been chaotic for many, 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 many moons, right? But how are we going to shift that spiritual condition of our children? By doing it ourselves, start. I want to show them how I can collaborate with my cohorts, the people that are my competitors.
And first of all, you have to heal yourself, the trauma and the losses that you have gone through. So you have to heal yourself before you can help somebody else. So you realize you have to let go of the things you're holding, the bad feelings, the hurt, the anger. You have to let it go. It always reminds me of Buddha, like the anger and these feelings are just like holding coal in your hands, a burning coal with an intention of throwing it at somebody else. You're burning yourself first. So you have to let go, learn to let go, let the people, you have to understand that bad things happen. You just can't hold on to them forever.
I think that's really good. I say it's going through the eye of the needle. You go through these very narrow passages and they break us to get so narrow in ourselves to be able to come out the other side in the blossom. It's the cocoon idea of the butterfly. It's the cocoon to the butterfly. It's the, it's deeper places within yourself. And those dark places, the saying dark night of the soul, I just went through it again. I just had I think it's my third major one, but I've kind of been through 4 times. I feel like going through that very deep, dark night. And I had to go in. I had to go back in and find that part of myself that wasn't quite there, And those are the pieces that are golden. They're like golden threads coming from the heaven. They're golden threads. You're gathering the golden threads to put your tapestry of your love together. The golden thread
Beautifully
of your life is a tapestry. It's your heart.
Definitely.
You know, your heart beats without you or not, you know? So you got to catch up with the heartbeat, you know, and I call that the earth. You know, I really believe the earth is abundant. It's ever giving. The moon, the stars, ever giving. I mean, it's really powerful. And if we,
It,
I
it,
always
it
tend
has
to,
it it
excuse
has
me.
been so good talking to you that I forgot the track of time. Definitely, it's a wonderful talk. I would love to listen to you. The open, candid, and wholehearted conversation with this. It's from the heart. I can feel it. I can feel the love. So thank you so much. And before we go, can you please give a last word, that what would you advise our viewers, and any last advices before we go? And definitely we'll be calling you again in another session, so please, any advice, the last words before we go.
Yeah, please feel free to contact me. Just message me on Messenger. I've always got 5,000, and then I have to get rid of people. I feel really bad, but the people that aren't connecting, I kind of do. But I have a public page now. But I really believe that you, as a human being, join in the Torch family. It's really what we're all needing to do. Feel free to be welcomed. It's not structured in a way, but it's very simple. In the 4 pillars, pick a pillar, get 3 more people, and build a team. And then connect with a team here in America, connect with a team in Africa, connect with a team. Social media gives us this wide bounty
Yes.
to learn cultures. And what I'm doing in the school is Torch Seeds. You can go to torchseeds.com. And I would love you to do this work with me in the schools and the education system and the academics. There's 75,000 kids in Pakistan that are affiliated with Torch Seeds. We just got called
Really?
back into Islamabad that they want us to come and train. And so I really hope, we've got a farm school in Chakwal and in Chitral. We just
Really?
got land donated to grow seeds. But it's really about feeding the children well and feeding the parents well, and looking at the community around a school. What is that community around your school? And building, I went into a classroom and the kid would say, I'd say, who's interested in peace? And people would pop, who's interested in environment? So I'd bring the 4 kids up. Who's interested in healthcare? Who's interested in tech? I said, I want the 4 of you to figure out in your math class, how can you work a math problem around growing seeds? And really look at these 4 pillars, because when you grow seeds, a child has to learn how to water it, how to take care of it, how to make it grow. It gives itself food to the child. So the first sustainable school in Pakistan is up in Balochistan, in Shaman.
Really?
And
I didn't know that. Really?
So I really felt
wow,
that
amazing.
3.5 years ago, out of my daughter 15 talking to a child that was 15 over in Pakistan, and there was a spark. And I said, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful, right? So kids need kids. Kids need
Definitely.
kids to inspire each other. Kids need to talk to each other. So we're building an app. We're growing seeds. We need your support. We need your love. We need your inspiration. We need to know what's going on. And so, Janjua, thank you. Please be in touch. I know the dark night of the soul is real, and I don't think there's nothing to be ashamed of, I guess. I would say if I was going to give anybody that advice, go deeper into it. Go deep into the dark. Go deep into your feelings. Let your feelings be there. And I think Doctor probably knows better than I about feelings in her academic work, and really let her, talk to her and feel like what her organization is doing about. We need to raise consciousness around business in this. We need, I would love you to come on the 8:00 show tomorrow, Doctor, on entrepreneurship.
It's 8 a.m.?
Yeah, 8 p.m. your time. 8 p.m. your time.
Okay.
And it's
I'll
our
definitely try that.
6th day. I'll send you the link.
Mm-hmm.
It's our 6th day of spiritual renewal for the entrepreneur. But we've been going deep. We've been going deep into what does it take? And I would love you to bring that idea of FEEL into the group. you know.
Definitely, definitely. I would
Yeah.
do send me the link. I'll definitely try. And it's been, the time just flies with you. It was such a good conversation, and I can thank you enough, for giving us time. Hope to see you again, and I hope the viewers have learned a lot from your life history and what you have been doing. So, inshallah, I'll be try my level best to be there tomorrow and keep this conversation, moving forward. So, thank you so much, and. In the end, I would like to say that we always say that be kind, be empathetic, and now I will add be peaceful. We need more peace in life, in the world. So be as compassionate as you can be. Take good care of yourself, and Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.